Hello and welcome to the next review for House of the Dragon. This is for episode 2, entitled The Rogue Prince. So the episode opens with burning ships and crabs eating men pinned to stakes. Very dramatic. The first small council meeting is being held that we see after this event, and Colaris, or the Sea Snake, is requesting more drastic measures be taken to retake the Stepstones. We see that there is a pirate called the Crab Feeder who's taking out ships bound for Westeros. We also see a point brought up during the discussions that Daemon has been squatting at Dragonstone with his thousands of gold cloaks. Additionally, we also see Rhaenyra step up and try to suggest that they send dragon riders to the free cities to basically reassert who's in charge. And we see that Corlys actually says, hey, at least she has a plan. It's kind of jabbing at Viserys. And we see that Otto wants to be dismissive. He says, hey, there's been a King's Guard who's died. Why don't you go try to find a good appointee for that position? And the king agrees, so she leaves. And then she makes a decision that at the time isn't that big of a deal, but throughout the series will become a bigger deal. She has to choose who the next Kingsguard is going to be, and she chooses Sir Criston Cole, who has combat experience, even though he doesn't have high standing among the houses. Even though his house doesn't have high standing, he has actual combat experience. And we see that Otto tries to push Rhaenyra to say, hey, you should maybe appoint one of these other guys to placate the houses that sent all their sons here to, And she says, no, I want somebody with combat experience. And so we see Otto and her kind of butt heads a second time. So that's an interesting thing. We'll see the High Towers and Rhaenyra kind of both go at each other quite a bit throughout the season. And so they're planting those little seeds now, which is very cool. We see King Viserys throughout the episode be more vulnerable with Alicent. He tells her how Rhaenyra, he hasn't had a discussion with Rhaenyra in a long time, and basically opens up about his frustrations about the kingdom. So that's cool that we actually see that kind of naturally progress this episode as well. And we all obviously know it's Otto's ploy to reach the Iron Throne, or have his family reach the Iron Throne, if Alicent and Viserys can work out. Throughout the episode, we actually see Rhaenyra kind of dismissed. So we see it in the council chambers at the beginning of the episode. We see it later on when she's trying to appoint a new Kingsguard. We see that whenever they have a discussion, she has a discussion with her father over a meal, where basically whenever she brings up the incident in the council chambers where she got pushed away, he says, oh, you're younger, you'll figure it out later. So we see that she's actually dismissed, and that's actually what's interesting about the episode, because it culminates in her taking action. So Daemon steals an egg and basically says he's going to get married to the whore that he's been sleeping with, and they're going to have a child, and he wants the child to have the egg, which on multiple levels is kind of a disgrace to the kingdom, and kind of like spits in the face of Viserys' authority. And we see Otto go to resolve the conflict, but we actually see that when Otto goes and there's about to be blood drawn between the gold cloaks and the Kingsguard and Otto, that Rhaenyra flies there with Viserys, I believe, and basically says, hey, I'm the heir, take me out, take your position again. And he doesn't. He throws her the egg, and the situation's resolved without blood. So we actually see the culmination. At the beginning of the episode, we see her dismissed. In the middle of the episode, we see her dismissed. We even see Rhaenys say, hey, men would rather burn down the kingdom than put a woman on the throne. It's pretty heavy-handed, but I understand why they have like a dramatic line like that. But we see Rhaenyra take charge. And her father is irritated at first when she flies back, but in the end, he understands why she did what she did. And so we see early on in this episode and then the premiere that Rhaenyra is somebody who has a strong personality, and if she doesn't like how something's going, she'll be a person of action. The other thing I would say that is important to note about this episode is Daemon Colaris is trying throughout the episode to get the king to marry his daughter Lena, but we actually see that in the end, because of Otto's maneuvering and because Alicent's been putting in work to get to know the king chooses to marry Alicent instead of Cloris' daughter. So throughout the episode, the Sea Snake's screwed in multiple ways. He asked for help in the Step Zones, rejected. He asked for the king to marry his daughter, rejected. What we do see at the end of the episode, basically after Viserys says, hey, I'm going to marry Alicent. Even after he's received counseling from the Maester and counseling from Lord Lionel that says he should marry Laena, he says he's going to marry Alicent. After this, we see actually Cloris in a scene with, or Corlys, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know. We see him and Daemon meet kind of in a clandestine meeting, and he says, hey, I built my house from nothing. You're somebody who's had to, you know, go out of your way to make a name for yourself. Let's take out the crab feeder together, so you can gain prestige. And there's 2 Daemon lines that I want to bring up. I don't know if it's going to be a theme throughout these episodes, if I'm just going to like have to look for Daemon lines to bring up, but they're in every scene he's in, Matt Smith chews the scenery. But we see, he says, it was never my brother's strength. And then Kalar says, why? Or what? And he says, being king, right? So he insults his brother. But then the other insightful quip he has is, after Kalaris basically insults the king, he says, I will speak of my brother as I wish. You will not. So in those 2 statements, we see Daemon's this rogue, Daemon's out on his own, but at the same time, he respects his brother. He thinks his brother's made some foolish missteps, but he cares for his brother. And so I think that makes him such a more layered character. And hopefully these reviews don't just end up being me talking about Daemon, but to be honest, that's how a lot of reviews on the internet are, because he's such a good character. So again, I'd say this episode was a solid outing. I'd give it a 8.5 out of 10. I wouldn't give it a 9. I think it was a little bit more roughed. Just generally speaking, there's a lot more going on, but I think that everything was handled well, everything was handled with care, and it's so cool to go back and watch it after having seen the end of the season and basically see how the groundwork is laid so perfectly in these first episodes. So if you like this review, if you like watching me review crappier TV shows like Designated Survivor, then remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And these reviews will be coming out on a weekly basis. It's fun. I get to look forward to Saturdays as my House of the Dragon day. But if you enjoy these reviews, remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.